Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Escape Velocity from Vitaly Sinkevich and produced by Montenzi. In the southern part of Kazakhstan, you'll find one of the most significant locations in the history of space travel, the Baikonur Cosmodrome. It's the world's first spaceport that was used for orbital and human launches and was the site of some of humanity's most significant flights, from the first crewed mission by Yuri Gagarin in 1961 to the first female in space when Valentina Tereshkova went in 1963. But in 1957, it was Luna 1 that took off and achieved a particular distinction, becoming the first ever man-made craft to achieve escape velocity, the speed necessary to completely overcome Earth's gravity. And it just so happens that creator Vitaly Sinkevich grew up pretty close to Baikonur and to this day has fond memories of the retro space style of the region. It was some of those memories that he drew on to create the Escape Velocity deck. Now, this deck was funded on Kickstarter after reaching its oddly specific goal of 11,186 New Zealand dollars. And that number, not a coincidence. It actually happens to be the exact speed in kilometers per hour that defines Earth's escape velocity. So kind of a cool little touch in the campaign. It comes with two different versions of the deck. Not the most creative naming. You have the blue version and the red version. And these decks were obviously designed by Vitaly Sinkevich, but they were produced with the help of Montenzi, who's a very experienced deck producer, has several decks to his name. But very cool. I love kind of science-themed decks. Love outer space even as a child. So very excited to check these decks out. So let's get right into them. We'll start off with the blue version of the deck. So the tuck boxes are done on kind of a soft touch finish, very smooth feel to them, and then enhanced with some nice subtle embossing and little hits of a matte silver foil against that dark blue. The astronaut here in the center and then the word velocity are the embossed parts, and of course the foil parts as well. The scene in the background, obviously just a sea of stars in the sky, and then the astronaut gazing out into them, hopefully. You get the name of the deck, Escape Velocity, and the inspiration up here at the top, given words, inspired by dreams about the outer space. Beautiful look to it overall. I love the kind of matte finish to the foil. Not a super shiny look to it, but I think it gives it that kind of understated vibe to it. As you turn to the side here, you get half of a rocket with the 52+4, and that half rocket is meant to pair with the other version of the deck. So if you put the blue and the red together, you get the entire rocket. Kind of a cool touch. And a dual scene on the other side as well, with the flight of the satellites through the sky there and the little flare of detail at the bottom. Kind of a cool touch. The back here has the back design of the cards. Nice flair to it, but we'll look more at that in a second. Get your ad copy on the bottom, of course, for Cardamundi, who made the decks, Vitaly, as well as Montenzi over there on the other side. Top says Escape Velocity, so the name of the deck one more time. And nothing printed on the interior flaps, but you do get some nice interior printing with the sea of stars yet again. So stars filling the interior of the tuck box against that black background. Beautiful tuck box. Love it. It really captures that retro space style that he was going for. Really think it's nicely done. But let's check out the deck itself. And we'll start, of course, with the back design. And here it is. So really nice line work, and you can see a lot of Vitaly's style in this one. Love the kind of swirls, the patterns on this one. Given though kind of a classic composition, so you get the shuttles, the top and the bottom, and then the flames and the smoke coming out of the bottom kind of swirl around to form all the rest of the designs you'll see on the deck. You'll see that line work, the twists and turns of the smoke forming the middle borders, and then even little billowing bits up here at the top and the bottom as well. Really nicely done, the patterns, the swirls, the design work, and then finishes out with that white poker border, which I love how it's kind of broken up in bits to kind of give it a more organic feel and vibe to it. But fully two-way back design keeps it nice and functional as well. So very nice back design. The muted color palette, the blues and the purples, despite the fact they're kind of lighter colors, really still combine to give a vibrant feel to this one with that really lively artwork. All right, and then on to the main deck. So You get the two Jokers in this one, nearly identical, so same artwork, just one of them's in black and white, the other one colored in again with that kind of muted color palette, the oranges, purples, yellows in there. And they're a scene of kind of a fun, quirky scene of an astronaut playing the accordion. Really kind of quirky, fun vibe to it. The planets and the stars in the back, and then the Joker in the corners. So really like that one, just kind of a fun, weird little card there as the Jokers. You do get an extra gaff card. We'll talk about the design of the quartz in a little bit as we get to the main part of the quartz, but you do get an extra Jack of Hearts, this one with the the 8 of Diamonds reveal in the hands there. So extra little gaff card if you wanted to use this as a magic deck. And then what I'll call an add card, or I guess you could use this as a third Joker if you wanted to, but the Escape Velocity card here with a bright, vibrant image of the rocket taking off into space on one side, and then the date, April 12th, 1961, which commemorates the date when Yuri Gagarin went up into space for the first time. So very cool little extra card. The 4 aces in this one are outstanding. So there's no one power ace, I guess I would say, but each one of them has beautiful line work, almost done in an intaglio style, but I love the detailed line work that Vitaly does on all of his decks, and these are no exception. Each one of them has kind of a space-inspired scene, so you get the Ace of Spades here with the rocket taking off and then the flames and the smoke swirling to form the shape of the spade pit. The diamond here has a satellite there in the center, flying its way through the sky. And then the Ace of Clubs has the stratospheric spacecraft. These are those planes that would fly right on the edge of space there. And then the Ace of Hearts has a re-entry craft burning up as it makes its way back into Earth's atmosphere. Beautiful look to them. I like the font chosen as well on the index in the corner, and then the pretty classic pips, which keeps these nice, easy to read cards if you wanted to use these for gameplay. The number cards and the pips on these, I think, are really, really well done. Very simple customizations. You get a classic shape pip, so nothing too crazy, but the star pattern in the background, and each pip has a different pattern on it, I think really goes together very nicely. And you can see the font there on the numbers there, all given kind of a fairly easy to read, but a little bit different, kind of something that you might find on like the instrumentation of the spacecraft. As you go to the red cards, you'll see the red cards here are done with a completely different pattern. This one's actually inspired by the flames out of the rocket. And so you'll see the pattern on this one, and you'll get a chance to see here something that's really cool about these, and that's how the pips all fit together. You'll see the pattern kind of works together from one pip to the next. You can really see that as you get to the higher numbers, where it's a single pattern, almost like the diamonds here are cutouts revealing the design behind. But very cool look to it. For me, just kind of gives a cohesiveness to the pips overall. Really like how those red pips work. Back to the black cards here with the clubs. This one with the stars again in the sky and kind of constellations going through the heavens. And then back to the flame-inspired look as you get to the hearts. This one kind of has a paisley pattern look to it. You can imagine it being the swirling flames and smoke of the engine. So very cool pips. I love what was done on these, in particular those red cards. I think they're really well done. And then we get to the quartz. And the quartz, again, really nicely done. Love the vibrancy of these. Not the most super saturated colors, but the mixture of the purples, blues, and tan colors in this one really give a vibrant life to these. And the artwork, really, really well done. All of them two-way quartz, and each one inspired, real or fictional, by some of the characters that might be involved in the space program. So you get a nice nod to the significance of the space program throughout the quartz. And the spade pips here, so each one of them kind of has a different representation. So the Jack of Spades here represents one of the test pilots. You can see him there with the instrumentation in front of him. The Queen of Spades, this one represents a xenobiologist. A lot of experimentation goes on in the space program because of the differences of outer space, and so giving the biologist a nod as the Queen of Spades. And then the King of Spades here is just a rocket scientist. So you can see him there with the little rocket model clutched in his hands. As you go into the diamonds, you start out here with one of the co-pilots. Obviously it takes more than one to fly a shuttle. So there's the co-pilot. I love the little space shuttle model there in his hands. Queen of Diamonds, this one represents an astrophotographer. Lots of photo opportunities in space, obviously, and so you want to have a talented photographer at the helm there. And then the King of Diamonds, this one represents the spaceship commander, one of the key members of the crew. All right, then turning to the clubs, you get a spaceport technician, lots of ground crew required to operate any program. So there's one of them given a nod on the Jack of Clubs. The Queen of Clubs, this one represents just a female astronaut. So you can imagine this might be a nod to Valentina Tereshkova, the first female in space. And then the King of Clubs, this is the head of flight control. So the head of the ground control. You can see the tower there in the background, the instrumentation or the monitor there before him. Next up is the Jack of Hearts. This is meant to be a pilot and the first astronaut. So this one obviously is going to be a commemoration of Yuri Gagarin and his legendary flight. And then the Queen of Hearts, this is a fun one. This is the first space tourist. So this wasn't a nod back to the 1960s, but space tourists, now as space travel becomes a little bit more accessible, people can actually pay to go up on flights into space. And so this represents one of those space tourists. She's got the microphone in hand, suggesting that maybe she's giving a press conference after her flight. And then as the King of Hearts, we have the lead engineer and designer of the program. Another one of the significant players in the entire program. And that is the deck. Beautifully done. Love the vibrancy of the colors. Just a really fun, vibrant deck all around. And with those Cardamundi cards, that slimline stock, really nice handling overall. But that's just one version of the deck. Let's take a quick look at the red version of the deck. So for the most part, this is a color swap, but there are some differences, in particular in the tuck box. You'll see the pattern in the background has completely changed. This one with the explosion of flame from the rocket there, given the inspiration as the background, and the color of the foils changed as well. So now we have the bright gold foil. This one a little bit shinier than the kind of matte foil we saw in the silver. So different look to the tuck box. Obviously the side patterns are slightly changed. Again, that one's to kind of fit together with the blue version of the deck to give you a single pattern as you look at the two of them together. That plays on both sides, so you do get some differences there. But otherwise, mostly just a color swap. As you open up the deck, you'll see that same pattern on the inside, and some of the color swap, of course, comes into play with the deck itself. The back design here, given new life, and I really like how the reds and the yellows come together on this one. This one, definitely a much livelier, brighter feeling back design compared to the blue version of the deck. I think both of them are great, but this one really just kind of pops for me. The reds, the yellows really bring the flames of the rocket ship to life. So I think I prefer this back design, even though I like the tuck box of the blue one maybe a little bit better. But the cards themselves, very similar all the way through. In fact, I would say these are pretty much identical to what we saw in the blue version of the deck. So no differences once you get to the face of the cards, just that recoloring that you get with the back design and of course the all new tuck box. So two different versions of the decks. Which one is your favorite? I don't know, kind of a personal preference thing for me. I think for me overall, I would probably lean slightly towards the red version of the deck over the blue, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. I probably slightly like the blue version of the deck. Tuck box maybe a little bit better, but the cards really pop more on the red version. So I don't know, personal preference. But anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this look at Escape Velocity from Vitaly Sinkevich. Really great deck, a great second deck. You guys may remember the first deck that he did with vacuum space tubes. Also a great deck. So if you haven't seen that one before, go check it out. But if you like what you see here, Montenzi actually has these available for sale on his site. So I'll put a link down in the description where you can pick some of these up for yourself. Can't recommend them enough. But anyway, that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see in the future, and I'll see you for the next one.